Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the Women of BSV. We are joined today by Casey Hamilton, Ruth Heisman, myself, Diddy, and the amazing Lorien Gamaroff, who is the co-CEO of Centbee, who is all the way over in South Africa. So thank you for joining us, Lorien. Really nice to meet you, and thank you for joining us and agreeing to have this conversation with us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
I've been really looking forward to this conversation, Lorien. So I'll kick off. A question that we always ask people when we start these interviews, because we're just interested and we haven't necessarily heard this from you before, is how did you get into Bitcoin and then into BSV? How did you find your way into the space?
Well, it was a long time ago. I had another startup which was in the energy space, electricity, and we were building smart grid payment systems and things for people to be able to buy electricity. And then what happened was we spent a lot of time trying to find ways that Africans, because I was in Johannesburg at the time in South Africa, and we were trying to find ways for Africans who don't necessarily have banks or credit cards or other digital money to be able to easily buy electricity. Here, what we have is a lot of what's called prepaid electricity. And so you'll buy a few 100 kilowatt hours. It'll cost you a certain amount of money, and you'll punch it into your meter at home. Or in our case, it was the smart meters because they were all connected through the network. And then you would load your meter, and then you'll be able to consume. And so, which is a good idea in a place like South Africa, because if you give people free things, then sometimes it's difficult to recover money from that. So I guess that's like that everywhere. But in fact, prepaid metering is probably going to be rolled out everywhere. I think that's just where things are going. So we had this issue of trying to find ways for people to spend because a lot of them live far out of town, or when you're buying electricity, it's quite important if you run out that you can easily go and get some more. And prepaid electricity is generally more expensive because you have to find a vendor or something, and or you have to travel there and you have to take money. So we were looking at different ways of people being able to spend, and this was probably about 2010. And then I heard about Bitcoin, and I thought that's really great. This digital money that's online, that's not linked to any banks, and it works all the way around the world. It's great, and I can just go and write software, and it can work with this money. Immediately, thought, great, let's do that. Let's play around with it and see how we can do that. And then sort of wired up and built this bit of software into this metering system that we had to then do a demo, to prototype it, to test it out. And it went really well. And I did this little pilot in this little primary school in a sort of more informal part of the city. In fact, very close to where Nelson Mandela used to live. It was this poor little school, African school there, and wired this meter up there, and we did this demo. A friend of mine who has a blockchain energy consortium in Europe called, I just forgot the name now. And we thought, let's do a demo to MIT. He was going to go give a talk to MIT about blockchain and energy payments and that sort of thing. And we had met, and so we decided to do this demo. And there, he was having his conference talk in the afternoon in Boston or wherever it was, and I was here in the middle of the night, and went down to the school, and a lot of the parents and the teachers heard that I was going to do this, and they came along, and we then video called into the conference, and we had a chat, and I told them all about it, and then Ed sent Bitcoin down from MIT to the meter and turned the lights on, and that was really a very fun, very exciting little experiment, pretty impactful. You can hear more about that story. I was given the opportunity to talk about it at a TEDx talk in Switzerland a couple of years ago, and so if you just YouTube Gamaroff TEDx, you'll see that talk, that story about that, and you'll see some video from there, and it's really cute little story. But the company that I was involved in, there were some big investors, big corporates, and they thought Bitcoin at that stage was just dodgy. people were buying drugs, and it didn't seem to be something that they wanted to get involved with. And so I thought, well, that's okay. Then I'll, leave and I'll pursue all this stuff on my own, and founded a company called Ban Ki-moon, which was really became an advisory consulting company to big corporates, financial enterprises, banks, but then also, central banks, even speaking around the world at IMF events and World Bank and Commonwealth Secretariat, and it just trying to talk about Bitcoin being this really low cost, inclusive cash system, digital cash system that can really make a huge difference and change the world. But it was a bit of a project that was a bit before its time, because nobody had Bitcoin. And, once okay, it's fine, you've built the software into a metering system, but, you have to start, you can't put the cart before the horse, you have to get the horse. So I realized, what was really missing in the world, even though a few companies out there were trying to make wallets that were convenient and easy, all of them seem to be, trading, even today, if you have something called a Bitcoin wallet, it's not called a Bitcoin wallet, it's called a crypto wallet. And it's really so you can watch the price go up and down, and you can buy and sell, and, have your assets and your portfolio. And I mean, who cares about that, except people who want to make an easy buck. So I realized, what's really important is that we're going to, have to try and create an ecosystem where people can get Bitcoin and have it, and it's easy, and old people can have it, and young people can have it, and they can do stuff with it. So I guess I was going to tell you my whole life story in that one question, but that's how it all began.
Sounds great. And so what year did you switch over to BSV? Like right at the... I mean, I remember you from the very word go, I think, almost. What was so persuasive? Was it just that you could program with it and build on it, or the fact that
I don't think I never changed. I never stopped using BSV. I was always using BSV. I mean, Bitcoin has been Bitcoin, or BSV has been Bitcoin since Bitcoin was Bitcoin. It is Bitcoin. So I never changed anything. For me, it was always meant to be low cost and big blocks, the only way to scale. So it was really hard, in fact, before all the splits, because the fees went so high, and you had to wait for so many confirmations and things. And so it really was hard for us to continue. In fact, I even thought about using Litecoin and other cheap coins that had low cost. So when I started building Centbee, because that's what I thought I needed to do, it was a BTC wallet, and it was a BTC wallet, and it was a BTC wallet, and I realized things are going to fail because I can't have people paying $1 a transaction. And okay, crumbs, now I have to go and turn this all into a Litecoin wallet. And then the split happened, and that was wonderful, because the block size went up and suddenly the fees dropped. The only problem was now I had to put a new symbol in the wallet, and it was BCH, Bitcoin Cash. So that was hard, because I had a lot of users who obviously didn't want to have BCH in their Centbee wallet. They wanted to have BTC, even though they didn't know the difference. And so, had to just work through that. And then BCH split, and I had to just stay on Bitcoin and get the symbol, so BSV. So as far as I'm concerned, I've never changed anything except the symbols.
So BSV kind of followed you.
I followed Bitcoin.
Yeah. I mean, your wallet, Centbee, always strikes me as being the one that's most devoted to the idea of digital cash. It's like you're closing the loop with the real world. So you're bringing people in from the real world, and you're allowing them to spend back into the real. I know it's real world's kind of a bad way of putting it, but you know what I mean. It's closing the loop in ways, focusing on actual use as digital cash, which not all of the other wallets are. And like, for instance, I think of Handcash as being like the app wallet, and Moneybond is maybe the one that you embed into your website. But Centbee has always been the one for spending with it.
In Africa as well, the way I understand it is a lot of things are traded with phone cards and phone credit. Yeah. So you can buy phone credit with Centbee, which you can't with anything else that I know about. So so how does that work? What's this phone credit? Because you can buy, because I know I've got people that I know in Nigeria and in Ghana that actually use Centbee, but I do know that they would probably like it if there were a few more vendors on there. So what's the whole process of doing that? Because first off, you started in South Africa, so then you've got to try and convince people to use this wallet. So what was all that process like, Lorien?
Yeah, and it hasn't just been that process here. We're international. Of course, we have our roots here, and that's sort of where it all began. But we're in just about every country where you can buy, in some cases, phone credit, or you call it airtime, or phone data, mobile data. So that is something that we've been working all across the world. But of course, we started out here, and that was for 12 years. This is all I've wanted. So I've never wanted any other kind of app that is not something that makes Bitcoin easy to spend in your day-to-day life. Something that you can use as a replacement for your physical cash wallet. And to do that, I needed to have ways that people could spend their Bitcoin. And of course, buying electricity for me was obvious, because that's what I started off. That was, in fact, you could say the first product that was launched with Centbee. But it followed then that, okay, fine, that's one thing, but you can't just have an app that is used to buy that one thing. You do get apps like that, but Centbee is a wallet. It's not an electricity payment app. So then it was a big mission, many years of trying to get merchants at brick and mortar retailers to integrate Bitcoin payments through Centbee. But that's really difficult to try and get a merchant, and a big one too. Of course, going to mom and pops that are owner managed, that's easier, but you want to get scale. So you want to go to a big franchise that has one system, and once you've done the integration, you can roll it out. But that's really hard. They do have a bunch of terminals on those cash out desks, and it's these card terminals from all these banks, and then they usually have some kind of POS, point of sale system, and then they try and integrate into other payment systems that maybe are up and coming, and customers are starting to demand. So that's a huge process, and they will only consider something like that if customers are saying, please, can we pay with Bitcoin? Please make it easy for us to pay with Bitcoin. But that, of course, never happened, and it still doesn't happen today, especially now that crypto has arrived. So we had to figure it out, how to then be able to get people to buy things. And the easiest thing we could find was to go to those retailers and hook into their gift card networks, so that what we could do is we could get users and customers to actually just buy credit at the store. So if they want to go to a McDonald's, they can buy a $10 or $50 gift card, and then spend it. And that idea, of course, is not new either. That those apps did kind of exist back in the olden days of Bitcoin. And then, of course, there still are apps out there, but we're trying to really be as global and as comprehensive as possible. And that means we go to aggregators, the guys that actually go and aggregate gift card networks from all around the world, and then make it possible for somebody to now go and spend in Mexico or in Japan or in Estonia or any other country. So that's the thing that we find has been the easiest. And as long as we can make the experience intuitive and enjoyable as possible, then I'm sure we will get people. There are people right now who buy that stuff at companies like Bitrefill, or there's a few companies out there that allow you to buy stuff like that with crypto. So we just want to make it into a wallet form that's fun and friendly to especially young people.
I think for Americans, it's really especially useful because over here we've got Gravity, Michael Hudson's Gravity in England, which makes it really easy to move money in and out. But in America, they don't have many options. So it can be a bit of a lifeline, I think, in some cases, to have this alternative means of paying. Because maybe you've got some of your savings in BSV, that you need at a particular moment. I think it's really wonderful how international you've made it. Was that a logistical nightmare, or is it is it just a question of joining the dots over and over and over in many different countries?
Yeah, it is kind of like joining the dots, although there are speed bumps all along the way. One of the speed bumps and the biggest speed bump is, again, still to this day, Bitcoin is lumped together with crypto, and brands don't want to be associated with crypto because it has that taint. And so often we find, even though we might get a great brand on like Walmart, the next thing we find is that they don't want to actually be listed in Centbee because we're crypto, and then they yank it out of the store. So the Centbee shop, and that really hurts us, and I hate that. There's nothing we can do about it for as long as Bitcoin isn't understood as being this transparent.
I was going to say, I mean, that comes down to a total lack of understanding about what actually Bitcoin really is. So,
Right.
so do you feel there should be more education? Is it something that's really needed within retail as well then? Just educating people about what Bitcoin actually really is still.
Yes, absolutely. Education is the thing that has really not made things as bad as they are today. But the problem is that the voices who are speaking about this, and of course everyone in the BSV community, this is what we're saying. We're such a small voice. We're a minority voice, and even if we manage to get our voice out there and reach a crowd or something, there's other voices that then will shout us down, and it'll all be about scam and all that sort of thing. So I've become very pessimistic, unfortunately, about that, because seeing how we have to try and speak over all these very prominent crypto people out there who are on things like CNBC, or guys like Michael Saylor, even guys like Elon Musk, who is smart and understands stuff, but yet hasn't really heard the story of what Bitcoin is meant to be. If he hears about BSV, he might think, okay, that's interesting, a big blockchain, but everyone else he speaks to says, don't look at BSV. It's a scam or something. So these voices, unfortunately, are the ones that are heard, and that all the retailers and all the regulators and all the government officials and all the securities commissions and all that, they're the ones that they hear. So my pessimism has made me realize that perhaps the only way through this, unfortunately, is for the whole mess to implode under its own weight, which it will do, and it feels like it's doing right now. But then, real important things like regulatory certainty, where governments say, all right, this is legal, this is illegal, you have to have this license, you can't do this, you can't do that, and then the most of the industry will collapse and disappear because they don't want to deal with that, and the BSV types will be around still building these regulatory friendly traceable cash payment systems. So that's kind of how I feel now. And I've spoken, and the reason I say that is not because I haven't tried. I mean, this was the last 10 years of my life has been going into big places, with very, people who have impact and political swing, inside central banks, inside government forums, talking to them about Bitcoin as a transparent ledger and how crypto is not Bitcoin. I just came back from an investment conference, and with all these investment bankers and everything, talking to them about this. But unfortunately, they still see crypto as crypto, and I'm just a small voice. So I don't know how long it's going to take. I don't think very long now. I think the regulators are finally, starting to get their act together. We're suffering for it because not because of them taking action, because they're not taking action. And that means the brands we work with now, they see us as unlicensed and unregulated, and so they don't want to deal with us. So it's an unfortunate situation, but it'll pass, I think.
And sorry, I missed a bit of the conversation because my internet's having a fit today for some reason. But what were you talking about? Basically the crash that's happening in crypto at the minute. Do you think there's a sense in which the slight uncoupling that's been happening in the last couple of days with BSV and BTC and the rest of the market is maybe a sign that people are kind of catching on to the difference.
I don't know. These markets are so thinly traded that, of course, any news can affect things, especially BSV. If Craig says he's copywriting something or whatever it is, things Craig says does seem to have an impact, but it is a small market.
They do. I mean, for example, Coinbase, it's all over the place at the moment. That Coinbase is getting rid of about 1,100 jobs. And there are other tech firms that are getting rid of jobs as well. But it does seem that these are the people that Craig has quite an impact on at the moment. So I did think that piece of news was interesting. And as you say, it might not happen exactly when he says it or in a week or a month, but the things that Craig has said have happened consistently through the period of time since Bitcoin has been alive and a living, breathing entity that she is. I'm going to say she. It has happened the way he said it was going to happen. So this is why one of my things is I wish people would really listen to him. And when I say listen, I mean really hear what he's actually saying, because you can listen to someone, but you can't, sometimes you don't hear what they're saying. So interesting that you pick up on that as well, Lorien. I think this is probably the point. I saw BTC at 18,000 today. So I thought, well, yeah, maybe this is the point when the chaff gets cleared out and gives room for everything else to be able to grow.
Well, he's like forcibly removing the white paper from the whole internet right now. Like, that's a big deal on all these different crypto websites. I mean, I think that's one of the biggest dominoes that'll fall when it comes to cleaning up the misinformation campaign. It's clearly like it does not shock me one bit that Walmart backed out of your wallet. I mean, they're one of the worst companies, in my opinion, for the future moving forward. We don't need companies like that. Let's build without them. It's my opinion, but
I mean, I think they own Tesco's in the UK. They're such a huge international. Is it Asda? Yeah, Asda. You're right. They're such a huge company. They've got real international presence, unfortunately.
Well, I like in Nigeria. So I've got two people over in Nigeria who use your wallet all the time, and they use with kind of smaller, like more independent stores and local stores and things. But they can get, like I said, the phone credit and everything off online. But there are like a few vendors, where they can go and actually just physically kind of phone to phone sort of thing, which, I mean, that's the beauty of this technology. You don't actually need a POS system, do you? As long as you've got a phone. So that kind of cuts that outcome. Because I was going to ask, was that something that Centbee considered, actually doing your own POS, or just kind of sticking with the wallet?
Yeah, we did. We did actually build one, and it was something that we set out early to do. We were intending to open source it and let people have it and use it. But then, our focus sort of drifted away from that because we realized how hard it would be to now go and put that software into a point of sale. I mean, again, we could have gone to smaller places, small shops and things, but we wanted to hit the big guys so we could have big scale immediately and make an impact. And that's now sort of where we are. Although with Centbee, of course, it also does have that ability right now on the receive screen. You can put an amount and a memo and use it as a point of sale. But at this stage, having as many gift cards and that sort of thing inside the wallet, it seems to be really working well. And I'm okay with that, especially because it does, whenever you build something, unintended little features have come out that you didn't think about, but the users discover it, and then they start using your stuff in ways you didn't expect. And so we have, for example, a lot of Filipinos who use Centbee Wallet, and there's a lot of Filipinos working around the world who send money home. with Centbee, you can get what's called Gcash, which is the local mobile money wallet that people use in Manila and the Philippines. And with Centbee, you can easily top up your Gcash wallet. And
Cool.
so Filipinos from around the world are now sending BSV to their family, and they're converting it to Gcash and then spending that Gcash on groceries and school fees. So we've essentially created a remittance product that costs less than a penny to remit.
Is that minute money? Because I did see you at the Dubai conference talking about remittance. Is that
Yes.
what the product's called? Minute money?
Well, Minute Money is a different product. It's not really a Bitcoin product on the surface. Our users who use Minute Money, they have a specific goal in mind. What they do is there are a lot of Africans from other countries who come to South Africa, and every month send a small amount of money home from their wages to their friends and their family. And so we thought, let's just create a simple app, which really, that's all it does. You go into the store, you hand over cash, and then a minute or two later, money is deposited into a bank account. That's something to sort of take on the traditional remittance companies that exist out in Africa. But we decided then something I wanted to do for a long time is put that into Centbee Wallet itself. So what you can do now is you can send your Bitcoin into an African bank account or mobile money account or cash pickup straight from Centbee Wallet. So that would be for users who like Bitcoin, Bitcoin SV, of course, when I say Bitcoin, and also want to be able to buy things and want to be able to send it to a bank account in Africa. And that has made Bitcoin, at least Centbee for me, something that I think is great. And if we can wrap that up, if we can get all the regulatory tick the boxes checked, we're going to take over the world. So I'm very excited about that. But the Gcash example is just that unintended thing where, they can send Gcash home for less than a penny, and it's as good as money, and that's extremely disruptive, to say the least.
Whose product is that Gcash?
That's an established traditional mobile money company in the Philippines.
Right, that's Google then.
Yeah, I think they've been operating for a while. They're pretty huge, so it's great for us to be able to allow our users to switch into that very easily.
Yeah, very cool.
Sounds really fascinating based on a lot of the stuff I've heard Ryan talk about with the milestones down the road of eventually having like a franchise type exchange where people can accept cash for Bitcoin. So I'd love to talk more about that with you some other, time where we can hear how that experience has really gone for you from the regulatory side, because that's the biggest hurdles that he keeps bringing up on why that's pushed, down the road on the milestones at this point. So, but I'm really excited about that real world use case where the farmers market can, accept BSV and cash and all that stuff. So that's exciting that you guys are already doing that.
Yeah, well, we have the same issues, all of us do, until those regulations are in place and until they come up with whatever it is they want to come up with. As long as it's something, then we're always going to be operating in that gray zone and always having these issues. So I think my fight is your fight and is our fight, and that's to try and get regulatory certainty. Now, that does mean that there's going to be a shakeup, and I think the Coinbase issue right now is also very much due to the fact that their regulators are breathing down their necks, and all crypto companies are under investigation, whether they know it or not, and it's just a matter of time until the law is made and the regulations are created, and then we see who's in trouble and who's not. So hopefully we get through that, and that'll be great. It's funny, to think, if only we had more regulation, the world would be a better place. And I'm not that person.
Yeah, it's not usually
something we see at the minute, though. Yeah, I mean, it seems like Bitcoin's got its commodity status, but some of these other altcoins don't. They're securities, and that presumably at the moment is going to come to be very important. That distinction. It makes me wonder how many projects are going to survive this crypto crash currently. This could be the big shakeout that we've all been expecting for all these years. Let me ask you one more question about the wallet whilst I'm thinking about it. You've got honey rewards and top-up functionality. I don't know whether you talked about that whilst I was offline, but tell us about the honey rewards. Is that like an air miles scheme or something?
Well, it's better because honey is Bitcoin, so it's basically cash back in your wallet, Bitcoin cash
And
back.
it's Centbee money.
Yeah, and anyone can earn it. You can open up the app and change your theme and set a profile photo and check your notifications and change your settings, and you just mess about with it every day. Go into the shop, window shop, look to see what's there, and every one of those things will earn you a little bit of Bitcoin SV, and you'll get it. I'm trying to sort of see how I should pay it out at the moment. I thought about Fridays. On a Friday, everyone can get their honey.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
At first, it was every day, and then I started seeing that users were becoming addicted. That if I missed a day, they would all freak out and want their honey. But yeah, it's to reward engagement in the app. It's to have people actually explore the app, and then of course sharing with the referrals. We were doing a lot of advertising. In fact, we've done in Centbee's history, we've done all sorts of advertising at radio and all sorts of stuff, and it was all expensive and all a waste of money, I think. But I've decided now that that's it. That's all I'm going to do is I'm just going to reward my users for sharing Centbee and using Centbee, and they get all the marketing. So they'll get my marketing budget, and then hopefully they can turn around and buy McDonald's or go to Dubai and go ice skating or something. That's where I think marketing money well spent.
No, it amazes me. We Pew Pew people. Do you know what the Pew Pew app is? It's a hand cash app, and we do that quite often from the Women of BSV. And we're always amazed at how many people engage with that. Like, people love small amounts, of BSV instructions. They seem to really enjoy it. So, yeah, and I can understand how honey would become so popular. Yeah, for sure. And I suppose there's a promise that it might be worth more later as well.
Sorry, you guys have a referral link?
No, if you install Centbee, you can do it now if you like. If you reset Centbee, so in the Centbee settings, there's a reset wallet option. But if you're just installing it, the first screen has a little referral code input there, and you just put in your friend's handle, and then you'll both earn honey for that action.
Wow.
And then
yeah, it says reset wallet down here, but I didn't see any referral codes.
Yeah, so now if you reset your wallet, you be sure to have your 12 words and your 4-digit PIN, and then go through the sign up again, and you'll see the referral right there in the beginning, the first screen that you see, just above the next button or the go button or start button. And that's where you just put your friend's handle. And if you do that a lot, every time you do that, you'll get quite a bit of honey, actually. And then if they share, they'll get more. So you'll both earn. Maybe one day I'll figure out some kind of pyramid scheme where you earn, and therefore, and thereafter, everyone else that gets onboarded, you get to. Maybe I'll try to figure that out.
Yeah, Handcash does something like you earn 15% on all their future top-up fees or something like that when you onboard people, which is one of the reasons I was sharing Handcash more than some of the other wallets, just because they offer that, all the different things there. But one of the things I wanted to ask you is, how do you feel about people using your wallet for cold storage?
If they want to, I'm all about cash. So for me, it's what you want to spend. But if you want to keep it as a cold wallet, it's actually really easy to make a cold wallet with Centbee. All you've got to do is just create a wallet, screenshot your receive address, and then print it out, and then reset your wallet again. Create a new wallet, put money on it, and then every time you want to top up your cold wallet, you just send it to the address that you printed out. And then if you want to recover that off the cold wallet, you just reset your wallet again, put those 12 words in and a PIN, and your money will come back and you can spend it. So it's pretty easy using Centbee as a cold wallet if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, you can have multiple wallets, but that was so far the most comfortable thing. I felt like keeping any amount of quantity in was a Centbee wallet on another phone that's hidden away, that kind of thing. So there's not a lot of storage options in BSV that I've found that feel as comfortable as a Centbee wallet right now. I don't know if you guys have any other suggestions or comments on that, but that's one of my favorite things about the feel of the Centbee wallet for usability as well as storage.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and also, we're non-custodial, which means that we don't have pieces of your keys. Although that I think is a good idea for the vast majority of people. I think people like yourselves, you guys are used to Bitcoin and mnemonics and all that, and saving your words and all that sort of thing. But unfortunately, gee, so many people are not. So in fact, we'll have to do something similar to what Handcash is doing. And in fact, even one day perhaps going full on custodial like a bank, that might even become a regulatory requirement in the future.
Yeah, I can imagine it going that way. I've got to admit, when I first installed Centbee, it's like maybe 3 years ago now, and I had trouble with it, so I didn't put any money in it. But I just reinstalled it today, and I was absolutely blown away by it. It's really changed. And I went to the shopping bit where you can search for places where you can spend your BSV. I was amazed by the amount of places I could spend it in the UK. And that was just so impressive to me. I've not seen any other wallet do that. So I think
there's tons, and you can go. We're in Dubai recently, and I went into the Dubai Mall and I went shopping with Centbee. So that was fun.
Yeah, cool.
Do you guys have any plans to do like a debit card or anything attached to the wallet?
Not at this time, but who knows? Maybe one day.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a request from the guys in Nigeria. It's like, is it possible to get more than one phone company on there? Because they've got Airtel at the minute, and they would like to be able to have the options for MTN, GLO, and 9 Mobile as well. If you get round to speaking to those companies, then you would have some very happy Nigerian customers.
Yeah, we probably will have that soon. We're constantly looking at new gift card networks and new vendors, new brands, and new retailers. So it's very possible that that'll be added soon, as well as some of the ones that were taken off. I think in the UK there's Tesco's and stuff, but I know in America now, in the US, there's no Target, no Walmart, and hopefully we'll have that back soon. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's our whole thing, is to really try and get Bitcoin to be used by the average person. Teenagers are our favorite because they don't typically have credit cards, but still want to get an Uber or whatever it is, watch a movie on Netflix.
They do everything on the phone as well, don't they?
And the way we see it is, we have a little slogan now, which is activate your lifestyle. And so get young people to think that they can now have a digital cash wallet, and if they get their allowance or some of the locations we have, you can actually hand over physical cash and get Bitcoin onto your wallet. So that's where we see Centbee really doing very well with young people, and that's kind of the approach we've taken with the wallet, is try and make it feel like a social network app. It's still not fully realized into being that, just because we're a small team and there's lots to do. But one day, Centbee shouldn't be really indistinguishable between Twitter and anything else that you use. So that's our target at this stage.
Well, what you do so far is so incredible. The international reach of it is amazing. And you think about, for a small business, that's a hell of an achievement. You're probably transforming millions of people's lives with this, with the actual functionality of it. Maybe not yet, but you will.
Not yet, not millions. But yeah, well, I mean, Centbee has that's also that problem with all the BSV apps out there, is that if somebody wants to get into crypto, they're not going to pick a BSV wallet. They'll find something that's got all the assets, all the things that they can play around with, even Robinhood or even PayPal now. But again, that's going to change. I think that BSV really has come a long way, and especially the BSV blockchain convention. It was really impressive. It had that very corporate feel to it, since it's changed from the CoinGeek branding, but it was really felt like a grown-up conference with real grown-ups, everybody really interested in in what you can do with this blockchain. All sorts of people, enterprise people and government people and regulatory people, entrepreneurs, and in fact, you can see the panel with Craig, and he was with Somi Arian. She even remarks that nobody was talking about price, and that is absolutely something you don't see at a BSV blockchain convention. There's not a single chart anywhere. There's no such, you don't see the word assets. It's just all about how can we get this thing to spread around the world, this new network that's going to take over the world and take over the internet and take over our lives in the best way possible. So I think this is really, it feels like crypto is crashing, but BSV absolutely, and I'm not talking about price because who knows what the heck prices can do. When you just see BSV on a global stage, it's just so completely different. I'm sure some of you might have seen some of the talks from the Miami Bitcoin conference or these other crypto conferences, and it's just so different.
It's usually Max Kaiser on stage yelling.
Yeah.
Most
morons.
Yeah.
But now, of course, they're the ones that get beamed around the world, and so it makes all these central bankers itchy. And I don't know how many of those talks at the BSV blockchain conference are going to get broadcast around the world. Not yet, but once the dust settles and.
Well, this is the thing. I was thinking when people finally get it, when the penny finally drops, they're going to have so much video footage to go back and watch. It's going to blow their minds. Like, oh my God, this was happening 5 years ago, and I think it's going to be quite the revelation when people finally get around to hearing about it properly from an unbiased source.
Yeah, so sort of trudge through all of the drama and the entertainment value that's been kind of hiding the layers of actual real
functionality.
That's been going on in businesses. So
you were at the Dubai conference. Was there anything talk that you saw or announcement that you heard that you just thought, oh, that's great? Is there anything that excites you that other people are doing?
Yes, well, there was, and it's really great to see the guys like the IPv6 guys talking about IPv6 and blockchain, and that does, as a software engineer myself, that really makes it interesting to be able to think about that peer-to-peer idea of cash, which is really the other part of the title of the white paper, and so that was really interesting. And then, a lot of other businesses looking at it, and especially like Brendan Lee from Elas, the way that they're coming up with all these crazy sort of academic-looking structures on blockchain. Again, I'm a geek. I'm a software geek, and I love that sort of thing. Scrypt, the ability for you to now run your Solidity contracts on Bitcoin, BSV. That's really funny. It was almost a bit like a Matrix moment. There is no spoon, and Craig Wright talks about consuming Ethereum instead of destroying it. That's a really fun idea, that we can not only do what BSV needs to do with all these other things and crypto fights and whatever, but can now also have Ethereum running on the side, and who knows, whatever the heck else you want to put in there. That's really brilliant. And definitely something that has been lacking, especially with Scrypt being able to now run these smart contracts, being able to program them simply. That was the biggest thing missing from people looking at Bitcoin as a way to build these little contracts, they call them, and so no matter how much you talk about big blocks and you talk about scale. That would only really be interesting to people who were really interested in very low cost, tiny microtransactions. Guys like what Handcash is doing with all those companies, these tiny little payments. But if you're not caring about that, and you actually want to do meaty stuff, which is what most of blockchain industry does. If you think about all the Ethereum guys, that's it. That's what drives Ethereum, is this hope that they can have all these little apps running in the blockchain in a scalable, cheap way, and that's really, I think, going to have a very interesting impact on blockchainers who come in fresh, and think, all right, well, what blockchains are doing what? And okay, Ethereum talks about Ethereum. Okay, but the gas fees are so crap. All right, you can do the same with BSV. Okay, let's do it. So it's that's great. And when we think about the history as we're talking about, all these important things, all these very sophisticated, intelligent people talking about these great, amazing things that you can do with blockchain, and everybody wearing suits and being respectable and not talking about getting rich and not memeing and that's building up this portfolio of reputation that will when as you said, Diddy, when people go and look back and they say, all right, what's been going on here? Conferences like that conference will come up and people will think, gee, how did we miss this? So it's really great that we've got all that stuff going on, and also new entrepreneurs. And I'm very grateful to guys like Calvin Air, who he does these conferences. He keeps on producing this content. Everything you guys are doing on CoinGeek, it's just it's really I'm really grateful to him. He's obviously an investor in us, and I've been always grateful that he saw us and did that. Of course, I knew Craig before that and all that, but he's really a tremendous person who deserves a lot of more credit. So yeah.
I know, and he's such a target these days on Twitter, and it makes me crazy because, I mean, the amount of good he's done for BSV is just immeasurable. Really, you can't overstate it. I'm actually really excited about the conference being in London next year because I can finally go again. So, but yeah, I mean, they are epic conferences and they're growing all the time. So I think he predicted that he expected there to be about 5,000 conference goers at the next one in London. I think that's next May, so we'll see. But I don't see why not, frankly, because I think there's going to be a lot of people coming in from the other chains, seeing that they can build on it reliably, cheaply, easily, because all these barriers are coming down. So the future's as brighter than ever, honestly.
Will you be there, Lorien?
I definitely will be there. Maybe I won't be speaking at that one. I think I've had a good go at all the different CoinGeek conferences, and been glad that I've been able to get up and sort of preach about Centbee and that. But I think that I might just be going as a participant, and I can do more of just milling about and mingling and
networking, talking to people. Yeah. So how many countries is Centbee in at the moment then?
Well, we're in every country, but except for maybe North Korea. I don't think we're in North Korea. In fact, there are a few countries we're not in. I think there was a handful of them, but tiny countries I've never heard of. North Korea being one, because I had heard of it. As far as being able to spend your Bitcoin, I'm not really sure how many, but it's a lot. I want to say 100 countries.
Very long list in the app. I noticed that much. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then it depends on the country and the rules and stuff. Sometimes we've got tons of stuff in the store, sometimes not tons. But again, that's our mission, is to just keep expanding it and making people want to use it.
So what's the secret with onboarding merchants to this kind of stuff? Are you finding success using any certain techniques, or?
Yeah, that's a tough one to say because nothing, we haven't really been able to see when we do something. Obviously, when we do something big like a competition, then we get an uptick in users. But our growth chart has been weirdly consistent for the last 5 years or so. We did 2 massive campaigns in our history. And so our chart kind of goes up steadily and then does this massive jump, and then it goes up steadily, and then it does another massive jump, and then it goes up steadily. So we haven't really seen, apart from big marketing campaigns where we go huge and we go radio or something, it seems to just be word of mouth, people sharing it. Now that honey is there and people are earning honey, we're seeing referrals picking up. Mm-hmm. And so that's really the best we can hope for right now, is just to try and get as much word of mouth out as possible out there. I think once honey has been around for a bit longer and people know about it more, then we might get some kind of exponential growth. If you show 10 people and they show 10 people, then hopefully we start seeing it. But we've been very happy with the growth. It's consistently moving up, and it's not crypto people. That's the cool thing. It's people who've never had Bitcoin before.
That's a great
this
time.
is what I wanted to ask you about, Lorien, is, at the moment we've got horrific inflation in the UK. Obviously, it's all relative.
Everywhere.
But, I don't know, are you experiencing inflation again down in South Africa, or is that not hitting you
Absolutely.
yet?
This is a global thing. This is taking us all down.
Do you wonder, I wonder whether maybe at some point, the cryptocurrencies that are left standing are going to, have a bit of a comeback in terms of usage, because if you can't rely on your local currency to hold its value, then being able to spend from a Centbee wallet in real stores, it could really come into its own. It could become quite a lifesaver at some point. So, that might be some exponential growth potentially. Do you think, is that likely to happen, or is that just a bit of a pipe dream?
Well, I do think that's going to happen. One of the things that I liked about Centbee was that Bitcoin is that it acts like sound money in terms of its supply, and so that's something that I really liked. I have experience with hyperinflation. I'm Zimbabwean and had lots of family still living in Zimbabwe, even though I had moved to South Africa in 2008, and there we could see a hyperinflation wreck people and destroy people's lives, and that's what made me interested in that sort of thing. And then Bitcoin fit really well into that. So even though it was this programmable money that was really inclusive and all that, having it as money that couldn't be debased, I really like that very much about it today. And I speak much less about it because I'm trying to trying to be in polite society, and I guess it's impolite to talk about how terrible the central bankers are and what they're doing to us. So I hope that this inflation that everyone's been. I mean, if you especially into Austrian economics, and you know that about inflation being monetary policy, not greedy businessmen, then we've all been seeing that this is coming. Inflation is coming, and here it is now. And it's going to get worse, and so you best start figuring out how to preserve your wealth. And so Bitcoin to me was a great idea. It was, and a very important thing that you said there was that it's useful to people. So that's a great combination. Something that's useful, something that has scarcity. I think will be something that works well when it comes to fiat currency inflation. Now, the problem is right now, of course, is that it doesn't matter how well it works if regulators and government don't like it, because if they don't like it, they'll stop it, and then that's it. So we have a bit of a problem here, and Bitcoiners and crypto people have really caused the problem themselves. They thought that they were above all this and they could just talk big and
that's dumb.
But now it's wrecked that for now. This idea that Bitcoin is a safe thing that you can use. But when the dust settles, when we have this hyperinflation and when it ends badly, people will be looking at commodities, and Bitcoin is a commodity. It's a utility, something that you need to be able to do stuff with. And I think the price naturally will, I don't know about it going to the moon, but if it really is genuinely useful, there'll always be a demand for it, and the supply is fixed. So I think it'll be a great place to have some wealth. But I speak reluctantly on that because I don't want people to think go and invest in this, because as you can see, even now BSV is it's going to probably go much lower. Who knows? And so all those people we're getting into Bitcoin might hate us a bit for now.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No catching knives right now. Yeah. But having said that, though, there probably will come a moment soon when it would be a really good idea to have some.
How do people get in touch with you, Lorien?
Well, they can find me on Twitter at Gamaroff. I'm not very social network type of person. I like to talk a lot to people and be with people, but I find it hard to engage on social networks. So, but I'm there, and if you want to reach out to me, you can. Also got a website, centbee.com. But the best way to interact with me is through Centbee Wallet. Get Centbee and have a problem, and then email support@centbee.com, and I'll probably be the person who responds. I take support really, really seriously. I want to be the person who knows your problems, so I can fix your problems and make sure that Centbee is your favorite app to use. So hopefully you won't have any problems, but if you do, support@centbee.com or just at Gamaroff.
Yeah, not since I reinstalled it. No, it seems to work beautifully now.
Yeah, I was thinking 3 years ago it was pretty bad 3 years ago. In fact, it still has a few bugs, but don't worry, it won't lose your money.
Yeah.
You might think you've lost your money, but it'll
yeah,
get sorted out.
It's still there on the blockchain. Yeah,
Mm.
as long as you don't lose your words.
Sorry, I was going to say, how often do you run competitions? Because I saw the last competition you did was for the Dubai conference. So you had quite a lot of engagement in that, because I was looking at the leaderboard as well for honey and everything. So you've kind of gamified the whole experience, haven't you, in that respect?
Definitely. Using Centbee as a game, you can earn points, and those points are actually Satoshis. No, we'll be running many more competitions. It's something that just works very well, especially because everyone's a winner. You all earn to win. So we'll definitely be doing some more, and so keep a lookout for that.
Is there anything that normal people like us can do to, like, if we found a merchant that wanted to start accepting BSV, get them in contact with you to get them involved with their gift card system? Or, I mean, is that kind of stuff you welcome as well? People helping you guys expand that?
Sure.
market,
If they want to accept Bitcoin, that's easy. They can just get a Centbee wallet and get paid on it, and you create a little invoice there on the receive screen. But I would say that if they want people to spend with Bitcoin SV, then I guess the best way to do it is to maybe, if they do have an API or something, we could integrate that API into Centbee Wallet. But at this stage, we don't ourselves have a traditional point of sale with a merchant payment system. I mean, the one we have is in beta. It's just not production ready. Maybe soon we'll get that going. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, Lorien. That was a wonderful conversation. Really loved meeting you. Looking forward to this. So, thanks for joining us and letting us all know about your brilliant wallet, which I'm sure we'll all continue to use.
Thank you for the show. It's always great to see you all, and thank you for spreading the word, and keep doing what you're doing. And it's great that we can all be a part of this interesting time in history.
See you next May in London.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for the heads up on how to make the referral work. I had no clue that was even available.
I'm waiting for the Centbee merch, because I mean, like, that little bee on a nice little beanie hat, with some honey dripping from his little tentacles would be fine. Do we have tentacles?
Tentacles.
Antennae.
We do actually have a merch store coming, so listen out for that.
Cool. Good.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Get some on the Jira dogs. All right. Thanks so much, Lorien. We'll say goodbye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.